Yeah, that's probably making a sound, so I'm going to turn it off. So, what's up? So, it looks like God just keeps fucking up America here with the weather and the truthers, the tinfoil hatters with Bibles, as they're more accurately called. They're like, oh, it's the Illuminati. They control HARP and shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. God's always like destroying wicked empires with weather. Like, so how do we know this is Illuminati? And, I got a little secret of my own. It's like, I've been talking with God about this shit. So it's like, so either the Illuminati's watching me and doing what I say, or, God's watching me and doing what I say. What's up? So the truthers are like all these people who are really questionable who they are, who really don't tell you the final truth, and they use this MK Ultra mind control word called truth. That it's like basically the government's property. Are you making some greeny brownies? Yeah, I'd probably be there with you. I just had some sugar. Yeah. So and then I got the that's cool you showed up because I was going to teach you about the vape, man. You was talking about I'll teach you a little bit about how to protect your throat. That's the vape. That's one of them. But let me get the start. Let me get the shit out of the way. What's up to whoever's new here? Are the brownies greeny brownies though? Or are they just regular brownies? You're Blaze, but are you also getting some Blaze brownies? So, so the conspiracy theorist crowd who are really suspect, like invisible people behind invisible accounts saying weird stuff that really doesn't add up all the time, and they are like, well, it's Illuminati, it's Casper the Ghost attacking America, and every time someone says Illuminati, they're really like distracting you because there's so much stuff going on. Like, and there's actual people's names. There's a name of something and sit in line forever. You need to know their names so you can go round these people up. And they're like Casper the Ghost and Scooby Doo pals, the Scooby Doo gang. They did it. They're controlling HARP, and it's like, dude, we can't arrest Scooby Doo. We can't arrest Illuminati. We can't arrest banks. You have to name the people. And so, they're just wish washy with their bullshit and with their Bible. It seems like these people just use the Bible to force something on you. They pick the phrase they like from the Bible and they got to force it on you. And that's all that matters. It means nothing to them. It doesn't matter to them that in the Bible God destroys nation after nation, empire after empire, degenerate city after degenerate. I mean, like literally they tell you this stuff is happening, and then when it starts happening to the government that they attack, they're like, "Oh, it's the government doing it." It's like, no, maybe God's destroying Babylon again. Maybe God's destroying Sodom and Gomorrah again, and maybe you're like actually a government agent or something, or I don't know. Is everyone behind a fake account a government agent? That's kind of suspect because they come up out of nowhere with these weird accounts. But I don't even think the government's in control. The world is weird, man. There's a lot of shit going on, and it's like I don't know, man. The world isn't like the world. There's something else. It's not like hey, we're sitting around playing video games all day and that's all people have ever done. There's weird stuff going on, but they're like, oh, the Illuminati killing everybody with floods, and it's like, well, wait a minute. America just keeps saying they're going to kill everybody and invade nation after nation, and they're turning into degenerates. Like all the men are. I mean, I necessarily don't want to get into the homosexual topic, but I mean, this is what these people's Bibles say. You know, that's not really what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah. The people were pure savagery, and they were like rapists and murderers, and on top of that, they were homosexuals. So God fucking destroyed them and laid them to waste. And then, so now God's like freezing America, flooding America, setting fires to America, like destroy it. Midwest could see billions. It could be a long time before the floods stop. It could be blah blah blah. All this stuff. Like God's just like pissing on the fucking nation. He doesn't want anything to do. Oh yeah, dude. Most religions always were political. I was going to tell you, dude, like you watch out for the atheist cult because that's just they're worshiping the government, but they want to teach you, they want to take you away from religion. You can use a religion to protect you from the government to some extent. Not really if you're white, you're going to have no protection. If you're Arab, you get all the protection in the world. But like your religion trumps the government, so you can have beliefs that are illegal and you're better than the government. You're better off. I mean, until the government just decides to shoot you and kidnap you like they do everyone all the time, anyways. And I mean, yeah, it's really up to them. They don't care, but technically speaking, you're supposed to have freedom of religion. You can do whatever your religion wants, and in the religion, the religions are like racial, cultural groups. So that's exactly what they are. They're political groups. They're not. They are like their own governments, and they're designed by people within governments, within oppressive governments. Well, it's hard to say who designed them, but they can be used while you're under an oppressive government to have some sort of rights for yourself. Like for the white people, they tried to develop the Rohua religion. So he's like fucking up the place really bad. And well, let me get back to the religion thing. You can use the religion to protect you from the government, and you need to. Like if you're some about religion, um, it's about beliefs, and it's about duty. So whenever I say the word God, you need to analyze what I'm really saying, analyze the reality. I think that's really hard because most people have just not lived in a reality based torture life like I have, like a reality torture based life that requires the skill sets I have that so maybe not everyone sees, but certain people would love me to explain it, so I'm not going to. But you need religion to protect you from government. So it's designed to separate you from there. But God, me, you, whatever you want to call it, the energy around us, he's destroying America, obviously, with the last 4 months of, like, right before the freezing started, he was setting fires to the woods, wasn't he? And then even maybe in between it. I try not to look at this stuff, but it's hard when it gets thrown in my face all the time. And it's hard not to look at it when it's like, wait a minute, God was just talking to me about that stuff and it's happening. It's like, hey, we're gonna, melt down fucking America into a lake of fire. And it's like, wow, you caught it on fire, but you accidentally froze it instead. It's like, okay, well, just wait till the summer comes. But then there is stuff catching on fire too because floods and all that stuff causes problems. But it's just like apparently this stuff's like everywhere in the nation. They're burning it down, they're flooding it. It's like it's not the Illuminati. This is God doing this. God is he does this all the time. He's sick of these people. He's sick of the way these people act. Like if you got like a group of people over here are like, yeah, let's go to war. You can choose to genocide that group, or you can do a number of things. Like if they won't stop war, you could torture them instead of genocide them. You could cut off their supply lines. You could take the wheels off their vehicle, and that's essentially what God's doing here. He's destroying the infrastructure of the nation. He's flooding and breaking roads. He's like flooding places really badly, apparently, and uh, the crops are being destroyed. Yeah, well, there's someone above the Jews, and it's the person who destroys the Jews. And America is the Jews, so why would America destroy itself if why would the Jews destroy America if America is the Jews? So there's really no need for that. The world wants to destroy America, so if they wanted to destroy America, they could just let the defenses down. And I mean, because like everyone's been robbed by America, so it's not like they're sitting at home like just all happy days, like yay, yay, we're all poor and we love Hollywood. And a lot of these people like are under constant threat from America, so they're not all happy days and shit. And all they would have to do is stop defending America. Like the only thing that's keeping America alive is the American citizens. It's not the Illuminati. It's not the Jews. Jews aren't keeping America alive. The American citizens are keeping it alive. They're the ones doing all the work, and it's like, and it's like there's a mob, and you're trying to blame the kingpin of the mob, but the people, the hitmen, are doing all the killing. They all go to jail, but it's the hitmen doing the actual killing, not the mob boss. And that's what blaming them is. That's their nation, but it's their control, but they've got the white slaves. The whites always are their slaves doing everything they want. And you can tell, like, you look at my interactions with white people earlier today, it's like, it's almost always bad. Like, okay, so far, the last 3 weeks, my new interactions that were extended were a pedophile wanting to have sex with kids, a female white pedophile wanting to have sex with kids, uh, a prostitute literally wanting to have sex with someone better than her Johns, and then just like some trash hillbillies out front. Like those are like the only people I even remember, and they're just like, really like the trash dude is like really stupid. He was like fucking with me and shit and touched my stuff, and it's like, whoa, dude, you're like this white person in the gated community. You have no idea where I come from. Like you shouldn't like touch my shit because I don't want to go to fucking prison when you end up dead. And like he felt like tough when I started saying that. It's like, whoa, tough bitch, fucking. I'm like being serious. Like your life is not worth me going to prison. You're trash, dude. What's up? Where you at, Maharet? Maharet. I'm sure Israel wants more money. Israel doesn't really need money. They're in control another way. They control the world. There's plenty of money in the world. They just keep it from me. It seems everyone else has plenty of money too. I'm just the only one who's only got a little bit. I mean, I guess I see poor people and homeless people too. So, although I'm expecting that these homeless people out here begging on the corner in my neighborhood are like actually really rich people. So, that's like an actor. Fucking, I don't think they're poor at all. They're probably making like $200 an hour just sitting there. Where'd you get home from? I was just at the gym doing martial arts. That's why I got my head covered up because it's all wet. Work. That sounds fun and interesting. Man, I about had to work on some people earlier today, man. Dude, my neighbor like got some balls, dude. I'm not sure what's up with these rich white people, dude, but dude, they act like they're like some sort of ghetto kings or something, and it's like, what? What's going on? Like, you're a lawyer, and you guys are like lawyers and cops. You're not tough people. You're and like old retired people, but they think they're like super hardcore. They're like, I'm surprised they don't start throwing up gang signs one time, like, yo, bitch, what the fuck? Like, they're so used to their secluded lifestyle. They've never fucking met someone outside of like a football rally or something. They think everyone's just the little book nerds at school they used to push around after the football game or something. Hell yeah, dude. That's a good idea, but guillotines cost money, and dead people don't work. So when people steal money from you, killing them does not give the money back to you. So you always got to think about that. It's inhumane to make labor prisons, though. Apparently, killing them is just fine with the law, but labor prisons are inhumane. They outlaw labor prisons because you they'll abuse it, right? Just like they abuse the current prisons, they'll put whoever in there and just make cash off of it. And but I say bring the labor prisons back just for certain people, right? Just labor prisons. Only politicians can be put in labor prisons, but then I guess they would put people like trafficking in there eventually. But I think that's a good idea for like government workers. Only government workers can go to labor prisons. We should change the law so it's inclusive like that. Yeah, I mean, even their Bible says that the people in control they're gifted with the power and knowledge, and they're more responsible for things than everything else. And I feel the same way. That's why I try to educate people, and I'm trying to do something about it because I've been gifted with all this knowledge and ability, and it's my job to do something about it, right? Like, I mean, for me, like, God has clearly made this obvious. So maybe he probably talks to those other people just the same, and they just refuse to listen to him. Lindsey Graham runs his mouth about the Bible, but you can tell that yeah, he's a snake 100%. You just look in his eyes, he's a fucking. You can look at me and be like, some days I have a snake look, but it's like it's not a pussy snake look like he does. I don't look like the type of snake who's like not about to bite you. Like on the days where I look like a snake, I look like the snake's like fucking ready to strike, and at least it's obvious like that. It should be, but people are being taught that the cover of a book doesn't matter. But you can look straight at someone like Trump and be like, he looks a little queer. He looks a little off. He's he looks selfish, kind of, right? Just like Lindsey Graham looks homosexual and he looks like a snake, and his snake shit comes through. So, man, it's hard for me to focus on this when I was dealing with that shit earlier. Fucking dude. Yeah, I'm living like a nightmare when I'm living here because it's like everyone in this neighborhood has terrorized me. And it's like, it's so weird. It's like that would never happen. Like, if I wasn't in some strict rich white neighborhood where the cops had already came out and threatened me for them. It's like I'm like enslaved here, You know, if I was in like a little more bit live neighborhood, I could easily pay them back and no one would have any clue what happened. Or if they did, it didn't matter. I guess they used to know who was fucking people up, but they just couldn't do anything about it when everyone in the neighborhood was fucking everything up. But here it's like you've got to do that passive aggressive pussy shit when your neighbors do the passive aggressive pussy shit to you. You've got to pay them back the same way. And it's like, I don't even like, that's like bitch shit. I don't like doing that. I don't want to be like, I'm coming to get you, big boy, like they do and shit. I just want to be like, oh, look, your fucking car's on fire. Well, Jesus must have did that. God did that. Kind of like the nation, but you know, I should feel good at the end of the day because he's like the reason, like God's fucking flooding and setting fire to this nation. People like that are the reason this shit's happening, and like their brains are so small they can't even grasp that God's been telling me He's going to do all this shit for the past few months, and then He did it. That's like the hardcore shit, right? Like not every time I've spoken with God, it feels like he's like being honest. He's like he won't kill me and shit. Like I think that's pretty fucked up of him and shit. It's like why are you torturing me, dude? But he'll do all this other shit. He'll like apparently flood nations for me and shit, and set them on fire and freeze them and destroy their infrastructure. You know, like we're doing that to protect the humans, though, because like USA just doesn't want to stop killing everyone across the globe, and there's only so many humans left they haven't enslaved, and it's like they're gonna completely wipe out the human species if they keep fucking doing this. Yeah, I mean you said that, but it's like, how do you do that when everyone's protecting them? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why God's got to intervene because the nation, you know, of Sodom and Gomorrah was a nation of Sodomites and Gomorrahites, and they acted like the nation. It's not like there was a one or two Illuminati leaders in Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, he like leveled the whole fucking place because of how they act. It was weird how that story went. I mean, of course, arguing history and what really is history is like weird, and it always feels like you're buying into their thing. But I mean, definitely, all the lying media and all the liars on YouTube are saying the world's flooding and stuff. Maybe there is no floods going on, right? Maybe the world doesn't even exist outside of this city or something. Who knows? But, you know, according to their story, God really is doing this. And that's the answer because you can't just round them up and put them in guillotines. Who's going to do that? The cops are going to kill you because the cops aren't going to put their own heads in a guillotine. Well, you know, we kind of are the French, right? We got a lot of French. We must have a lot of French because the French helped us revolt, and then Louisiana and Canada are the French. So, I mean, if the French can do it, then we can do it because we fucking, many of us, I think, are the French. Maybe not me, but apparently, according to history, the land should be littered with them. Should be mostly, you know, English, Irish, Germans, and um, French here. And then the other, you know, the people we can never name. Apparently, you know, they came over too because the Holocaust was so bad, man, they had to run. But, yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that, but it's like how are you gonna organize that, dude? Like they're not gonna. Do you think they're gonna put me on TV? They've already passed up interviews with me before. Maybe I said something too stupid and they wanted me to look good or something. I felt kind of good. I was like, yeah, I said something stupid amongst all the good stuff. Like that's like good bait. Like accidentally said something stupid and now maybe they can like skew it so I'm an idiot and someone accidentally look into what I really said and be like, wait a minute, he was like, he's not a white supremacist at all. He was just telling you that, Jews do control the media. But I don't know, man. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get their attention, and I'm definitely gonna like throw my life in the trash trying to do this. But man, I'm telling you, God, if this is God flooding this place and destroying it, then He is like, He is on my side apparently, because you've got to slow this nation down. You've got to put them to a stop. I would call for a boycott of USA, but I'm pretty sure the feds would kick in my door. Um, I'm pretty sure that's illegal because, dude, I like laughed at USA and the feds came out here. So it must be illegal to laugh at USA or dislike USA. I remember when I was a kid, they just beat you up or let you know they was about to beat you up if you said something bad about America. But apparently it's like actually illegal in their minds, and they come out and they get so scared. They want to kill you so bad. They're like, he insulted America. I swear that was like the whole reason the feds came out. Like, and I'm way further than that now. Especially with this, like, I wonder how they're gonna try to construe this as me being a devil. It's like, oh yeah, hey, I'm saying God's fucking destroying America and with weather, and the terrorist government, is putting out propaganda saying that it's the Illuminati, and it's like, no, dude, like, it's not. It's fucking God, because that's what he does all the time. And the Illuminati isn't real, it's just a name. It's not like a person. It's like saying the news, and so we can't arrest the news. We can't arrest the Illuminati. You have to have a real person. You can't arrest Scooby Dooby, and you can't arrest Casper the Ghost, because they just shit don't exist. You can't arrest the banks because I've never seen a pair of handcuffs big enough to put around a brick building, and I don't think they're gonna come quietly. I don't think they're gonna come at all. Make the feds defect from the government. The feds are the government. Fuck that. I don't know about that, dude. And they play along with the lines too. Like they're playing a game to make Trump look legit, and look not legit at the same time, depending on which side that you're on. And it's just a game. They know that the Russians didn't take over America. The Jews took over America. So, and the Russians were taken over by the Jews. So it's disingenuous at best to say the Russians took over America, because the Russians were fucking like slaughtered and the world's largest slaughter. So we don't even know if any Russians even exist anymore. That's like saying that there's Palestinians in Israel. It's like, is there? I'm sure there's a couple left, right? It doesn't mean that Israel, is Palestinian people. It just means that, hey, once upon a time Russia was a different place, and they still call it Russia instead of Israel these days. Just like Ukraine, like they haven't changed the name to Khazaria yet. They've only invented the Khazarian tank, which is a step to changing Ukraine back to Khazaria. But it's still the same people, just because they call it Ukraine, and especially with the last battles, clearly they took it back over, and it's Khazaria again. But yeah, they got the feds. The feds are just playing along with the TV show that Trump's a Russian agent, and he's not a Russian agent. The Russians didn't take over America. Well, I mean, a lot of them are Russian, but are from Russia. Like, the owners of Google, Brennan Page, are Russian. And, Snowden looks Russian and his girlfriend looks Russian. So a lot of the people are Russian, but they don't mean they're all Russian. Like, they come from everywhere. Hitler said they come from, damn, it was just on my tongue. Poland. So, I mean, they come from everywhere. Like, they invaded everywhere. So, that is my estimation. They have about 5 nations out of 195 nations they haven't taken over yet. And the FBI just plays along with it. So, they must know better, especially because I contact these people and I tell them, and, I show them, like, evidence. And if they don't, when when they don't go along, that's how I know that they're like working for them, right? They don't care about facts. Like when I show Trump that his family is entirely they're all dating and breeding with Jews, when I show you never know, possibly, I don't know. Why don't you tell me who owns it? I didn't look into it. But when you have when I tell Trump, when I show Trump like an easy to understand pictogram that all his family is now dating and breeding with Jews, and they obviously took over his family, and then they took over the Clintons' family the same way, and he doesn't care. The only reason he doesn't care is because he probably was one of them to begin with, just like the Clintons. Like, dude, I would be pissed if I had a family and there's like a certain group that like started breeding with my family to take them over. Like, that would be pretty fucked up. I think. I don't know. I've never had a family, but I would think I would care about them and think that was pretty suspect. But maybe Trump's just a retard and he doesn't know. He doesn't know how important that is to see that your family's breeding with a gang. Literally, in the case of, I mean, Ivanka, like, the Kushner family is a gang. It's a gang. Father's in prison and they're just involved in all sorts of stuff like that. But they don't care. It's just like a TV show to them. They gotta play along and they don't ever defect. I find that odd that Gottlieb, FDA, defected. So I don't know if he defected because of me, but I definitely told him it's time for him to pack up and go. And he did. Uh, Not all of them do that. But generally, I just tell him we're going to come for him. But I told him to pack up and go. I specifically told him to pack up and go, and then he packed up and went a few months later. It may and see when you allow that to happen, and you don't you have all these groups you follow, like the alt right, who don't actually call them out and stuff. It it gives them a scapegoat. It gives them, I mean, yeah, it gives them a scapegoat. It gives them a way out, kind of like Christianity gives them a way out. Like they can do everything, and then on their deathbed they'd be like, "I love Jesus," and you're like, "Oh, he's a good person." I don't know. Trump has a fetish for little boys' butts. That's all I assume. I mean, he definitely looks like the type who doesn't like women very much. I think a lot of men just have women because they want to breed with them. So it makes me wonder, you know, if they don't like women for other purposes. Clearly they just don't like women, but apparently some of the gay males have, or a lot of them have just like such deep ego that they need to recreate more of themselves that they still find a wife and breed with it instead of just being gay. I know people have specifically got with women just to breed and stuff, and that was weird. That's weird to me. It's like, shouldn't you like get with a woman because the woman's like something you're looking for or something? I guess that doesn't matter. Like, if you're not that smart, you don't need your kid to have any sort of talent or be that smart. But you should like be picky if you breed with someone. You shouldn't just breed with everyone. Apparently, no one really cares about that anymore. And we don't know who Trump's modern girl is because she's like hidden, shrouded in mystery. She comes from across seas. No one knows anything about where she comes from. And you can't tell anything about her looks because her face has been altered so much from plastic surgery that you can't say for sure where she comes from or what her bloodlines may be. Kind of like Ivanka. Ivanka looked white from about her being 18 to about 30. She looked white, but before that she didn't. And then after that, now she's like failing to get her makeup appointments done and her tanning, or not her tanning. I think she's doing the opposite. I think she's bleaching, actually bleaching her upper area. She's definitely powdering it white, but she's you gotta get your plastic surgery redone. So she's refusing to get that done, like as she's old, and there's all sorts of reasons not to get your plastic surgery redone. Like she's probably scared she's gonna die because I mean she's had a lot. So like you gamble every time you do it, and apparently some people like it's like 1 in 50 times you die from it, and some of these people have had like close to 50 freaking operations. You know, like the Ken Barbie doll, the Ken and the Barbie doll people, and I'm pretty sure Ivanka's one of them, and then that that one lady from Hollywood Squares and stuff who died. She clearly had a lot too. Didn't the didn't the Ken doll die? Did he die? Or was that suicide he killed himself by? I'm not sure. I forget. It's important that I forget it too, because it's not important to know. Damn, dude, what's up? Today's like I don't, dude. This year is like the year of assholes or something. I got these assholes fucking like treating me like I'm their dog today. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fucking working. What are you doing? It's like, you know, I'm wondering what you doing. What you doing? Like, I need you right now to answer me. It's like, wait a minute, dude. I don't even know you. I wouldn't even fucking let some girl fucking treat me that way, dude. What are you doing? Like all these people getting ballsies today, and kind of this year, it's so weird what's going on. It's like they're taking over, they're possessing people and trying to make them fucking trying to get me to do something stupid so I go to prison or some shit. Lyric's still in here. Lyric, you still in here? All right. Well, I probably won't be playing now. Nothing I hate more than having to work so I can play. So what's up? Who all's in here right now? It's hard to tell when the thing keeps changing up and down who's actually staying in. So I guess we'll go back to the other topic while I fix this up. the weather. It's like I've totally been talking to God about that. Like you can see on my Facebook and stuff. You know, if Lyric was in here, he could tell you. Like, 'cause, like the first time I talked to Lyric, he said some shit, and I was like, "Fuck that, fucking destroy America." And and it's like, look what's going on. Like they really are destroying America now. But like that's the only way to protect the world. Oh, it's not necessarily like blood loss. Like you know, I'm not gonna be like carrying in the future. Be like, oh yeah, yeah, that was cool when we killed the Americans and all that. And it's more like yeah, like well, fucking finally God's doing something to stop them from killing everyone else on the planet because they refuse to do it themselves and they keep nice. They like the people here are like refusing to do anything. I mean, they're getting worse and worse. They're not going to magically vote in a politician who does something of value. They're they don't care about that. They just care about propaganda. I don't think there was really many people who cared about the lead or whatever. Was there anyone awake really when Trump came around? It just seemed like an excuse to protect him. Like the elite seem to be protecting the citizens, and the citizens seem to be protecting the elite. And you know they so the elite then put out films and stuff supposedly exposing the elite, calling them Illuminati and Casper the Ghost. And like one or two of them work together as the bad guy in the play. Like Soros works as a bad guy, and two of the Rothschild family go around and work as bad guys. And maybe Bill Gates works as a bad guy, but everyone else is like, and technically the Bill Gates stuff, he's never really said anything too far off. They just take it and manipulate what he says. So it looks stupid when people bring up him too because they've manipulated what he said. But no one cares. It's like everything Alex Jones says should be looked at as discredited and something you have to prove another way, including 9/11. Like whatever he said, he just lied it so much. He doesn't know when to stop lying. Like I say, the people generally have to put out 80% truth for you to pay attention and keep listening to them. But Alex Jones, I think he was like at like 60% truth or less at many points in time. But although earlier on in his career, it was a different subject. It was more reality based stuff he talked about, kind of, but at the same time, he was still like lying about stuff for attention. And you could just see he slowly slipped to even more bullshit and garbage later on. So you can't trust anything he says really because you've got to prove it's correct. You generally can't. Not when you're talking about invisible Illuminati and Soros. It's like no one almost can prove anything about Soros. Like it just does he really exist? There's like a picture of Soros here and there, and maybe a video or something. But it's like, has anyone ever really seen him? Wait, like, what is he actually doing day to day? If he's so important, there's got to be like some truthers somewhere stalking him or something. They must know what he's up to. But he's probably not doing anything any different than the other thousands of rich oligarchs in the nation. You know, it's not like he's any different than Sheldon Adelson, the Republican version of Soros, and Saim Haban, the Republican and liberal at the same time. He says he plays whichever side works best for him. You know, Haim Saban, he's like not even talked of really, but he's always doing stuff like fundraiser for Israel and stuff like this. And a fundraiser for Israel is always more than what it sounds like. That sounds like innocent. And it's always something else. It's always like a way to launder money, it seems, because the people invited there are always other rich people, and the plate prices are super high. And I do believe I have read that there was some sort of questions about what was going on there. That makes perfect sense too, because nothing they do is ever for one reason. And the biggest reason for taking donations for Israel would be to steal money from everyone else's pocket, like Alex Jones and David Duke and everyone else does when they're asking for donations. Generally, they're trying to make sure you don't have money, so you can't do anything, so you can't actually make a move. None of them are making moves. Like David Duke supposedly was running for office, but he's never going to get elected again. He's a clown, anyways. After he backed Trump. So you have that, and it, like I mean, they're all the clowns like that who are taking the money. Alex Jones continually takes the money, and he never. The more money Alex Jones got, the less he did politically. He actually used to go out in the streets, but even when he did that, he was causing problems and being deceptive about what he was talking about, and he was literally like trying to shut down some good protests, some legit non conspiracy theory world based stuff. Man, tuning the guitar sucks, dude. All this work to play guitar is garbage. I love to play instruments, but there's so much work involved. A lot of times in my life when I get done tuning or changing strings, I'm like done with guitar for the day. It's like, well, that's enough guitar. E D G B. Yeah, I don't know if Alex Jones is a government puppet or if he just. I think he's one of them. So he is the government. He is the shadow government. He's just lying about it. His children are the bloodline, so he's lying about that. So he's probably so you might as well consider him lying about everything, including his own bloodline, because he lied about his children's bloodline and his wife's bloodline. Yeah, yeah. Alex Jones admitted he was a character, but I mean, let's be honest. He was in, and that's odd that that trial even happened because he works for the government. So why does he get in trouble for any of that stuff if he is repeating their propaganda? He also had to say that as well. But the odder thing I felt about those trials he was setting a standard. His trials were setting a standard that you can go to jail for just questioning things, not believing what the TV says. And that's like an absurd standard to set because um what is a like I was thinking to go into a comedy show, right? Cuz I can like be really funny, especially to people who like comedy because people who aren't like big time into comedy might not go to a comedy show. They don't appreciate my extreme dark and satire, but I just do it all day long. Fucking, it comes out of me naturally, and so I was worried. I was always worried from the start, like, because when I am that way, I piss people off, and we're in cockland, sissy world, sissy America, and everyone gets pissed at everything and offended by everything. But I'm like really good at offending people, so I would get people fucking trying to sue me, and be like, "Oh, he caused me to slip my wrist, and he caused me to cry." I'm really hurt over what he said. Like I was making jokes over Joey, like because everyone I know has made fun of Joey since he died, and so just like kind of like a multi-decade running thing. We make fun of him because he was a fucking idiot wannabe gangbanger who got what was coming to him pretty much. And so it's a joke for us, but to like his family didn't think it was a joke at all and tried to sue over it. And I was thinking like, dude, I can't go on stage and be a comedian. I'll say something that people won't like and I'll get sued. And I looked it up, and motherfuckers do get sued for that shit. Like professionals get sued and lose. If you actually hurt someone's, if someone's like hurt emotionally and scarred, like, and you make people laugh at them, that's like post traumatic stress disorder, man. And you owe them cash now, like millions and billions of dollars. It's crazy. It's like, wait a minute. Like, you literally can't laugh at people. So Alex Jones basically, they claimed he was laughing at people. Maybe it's your router. Maybe you need to reposition the router. So yeah, Alex. I mean, dude, like I was even reporting on that. I hate talking about Alex Jones, but and I hate taking up for him, but he's got rights too. Apparently, maybe for now till I get in control, and then they're like put him in jail. That I mean, he lost the case against four people, and like the lawyer was like ex-military and shit who sued him and everything, and he was like so proud he won the case. He was like, we won the case against this evil Alex Jones. And basically all Alex Jones claimed he was doing was making entertainment off this, but he was just questioning whether the deaths happened. Like that's setting a standard for them to start executing people, and I can't help but think but Alex Jones is like in on it because um, he's been able to do anything else he wants, but he seems to be working with the government, not a person who's really going to get sued by the government or something. So if he's working with the government, he would be pushing the agenda to make it illegal to laugh at people. And just like when the feds came out here, dude, pretty much they came out here because I laughed at some dumb bitch for how America acts, and like she fucking was triggered and shit. She's like, "Oh my god, you're laughing at America." We won't be number one if they keep laughing. So it felt like that's what they were doing with Alex Jones. Like, just not like maybe a kangaroo trial, but just trying to like bully people into not laughing at the government and not saying the government's fake. Like, they said that the result of the trial was you can't question the media. You can't say it's fake. And I hate taking up for Alex Jones. So he's never going to take up for me. So I hate doing that. But I mean, that's bullshit how that happened. And no one really like fully reported on it like that. I seen people talking about there if they take Alex Jones rights away, they're going to take all your rights away because his channel got banned, and they like ban his channel and then they reinstate it. Like they do this like every year, and everyone acts every year. Apparently, all his users like quit within a year, and so there's a ton of new viewers the next year because everyone's a new viewer, or they'll quit, within a year when they find out he's lying. So they're all like fooled by this that it's new. It's like he just got banned. Like, oh, they're banning him now. What are we gonna do? It's like no, they always ban him for like 3 weeks tops, and then he comes back, and then they do that again next year, and then they do that again next year, and they do that again next year. Ever since I can remember, they were always doing that, and it was always pretty obvious that he really like they weren't banning him because they were banning other people. They were really banning other people and never reinstating them for saying stuff that Alex Jones doesn't say. But that was bullshit that they did that to him. What do we have? Well, you gotta make sure you try to centrally locate your router so the Wi-Fi coverage is steady across everything, across the house, or get a repeater. You could get a repeater as well, but that's a little harder to program. It's a lot easier to just make it so the one router provides for the whole house by locating it in the central area of the house. Probably the best idea. We used to we had a one-story place once, and we would so the Wi-Fi went everywhere. We built up a stack of boxes, and it was basically like the router was at the ceiling, so it would spread the waves to both ends of the house from the room it was in. That can work too, especially if you're in a one-story house. But if you're in a two-story house and your router's on the lower floor, and you're on the second floor right now, that definitely explains what could be happening. Oh yeah, that's liberal logic too. Liberal logic is you can criticize uh, Trump and Republicans, but you can't criticize liberals. It's the same thing. And then libertarian logic is kind of like its own thing, but the same thing. It's like you can criticize Trump and Obama, but you can't criticize Ron Paul and Jill Stein. It's just cult worship. Is it a one-story place? Nice. It's doing that weird new thing again where the sound just magically cuts out. Just in time for the video too. I love how so much of my electronics have been messing up the last few days when I've been doing the videos. Okay, so if it's a first story, you can do what I said. Like, I suppose your router's on one end of the house and you have the whole area open. What we did was we stacked a few boxes up and put the router so it was like towards the ceiling. So it would, because the waves go out and then go down. So if it's like down closer to the ground in one room, it will most likely not reach the other room very well. So we placed it on like boxes. I mean, I guess you technically could put it on a shelf or something up high, but I mean, we didn't really care, and our solution was just boxes. What the hell's going on here? I've been playing like the same type scale stuff for like 6 months, 8 months. Generally, it goes away after like a year, and I start playing like along a new sort of. And then I'll start doing whatever, but I need to put my poster up so I have the different scales and modes. I really don't use that stuff, but maybe it'd help if I just like looked at it to erase the scale I do know. Unfortunately, that like infects all my playing. I don't think I'm fully in tune again. Man, see, this tuning is such a chore. Once something goes out of tune, too, especially with this Floyd Rose, that's why I just lock it down usually. But I unlocked it because I forgot. I forgot why I locked it. So I unlocked it and then it threw all the settings, my action and everything way off. What do we have? You're not really into rock music. What do you listen to? That was actually heavy metal. But what do you listen to? I wish we could like team up in this like I can in like we can in other apps. And I bring Lyric Fire in here. He wanted to play together in a different app. But you can't do that on YouTube. We would have to meet through a different app and then just record that on YouTube. But I would think the latency would be really bad due to the double recording there, the double playback. It would create two latencies. And together that would be a lot. EDM. What's EDM? Is that just like techno? Is that stuff that's just like techno, right? But just with a different name? Electronic dance music? Is that what that is? Why did they change techno to electronic dance music? It was like the same thing. Do you like Lords of Acid? KMFDM? I would figure most people like dance music like KMFDM, especially their older stuff. It's kind of where the first people I knew who liked it besides me. Man, such a chore here to frickin' tune. Yeah, why did they start calling it EDM instead of just techno and industrial? Like they do that with everything. They just rechange the name, and it's kind of the same stuff. Like black metal and thrash really isn't the exact same as punk, but it is to some extent. And
they obviously give credit for that as well. But with a lot of the other stuff like EDM, it just sounds like a little more complex techno-ish. And even back in the day, some of the techno bands were not complex. Some of them were pretty complex. I swear that one string keeps going out of tune. Like there's something up with it. You can even tell by looking at there that thing's like lower than all the others. It just and I just had untuned it. Had to retune it from there too. Had to open it up and untune it and then retune it again. And it's already back there. Such a chore, man. I swear they don't tell you this stuff when you get a guitar. They're not like, man, you're gonna have to work way more than you have to play. Wish I could keep that chat open instead of having to touch this. Yeah, okay, so it breaks down into other stuff, into the subgenres like metal does, I guess. Like the most hated genre of electronic music seems to be the really dark shit, like Psycho Pumps and Hate Department. It's like I like that shit and Snog, but it seems to be the industrial people don't even like that. Just it's like weird how it's like a sub genre of such music, but the people into that music don't ever seem to actually listen to it. Do you know any of those bands? Snog, Hate Department, Lords of Acid. Uh, Shit, I can't even think of. Like I said, Came FDM. You know, Utah Saints. I don't even think I know any of any newer bands that do that stuff. But a lot of the newer American music is pretty bland, so I really haven't listened to American music since like the '90s. I have no idea what's going on here, really.
Okay, it's time for me to turn that on. I think it was. I was smelling that already. So lyric fire left, right? Dun, 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 when I can't even smile today, today, how will I laugh tomorrow? If I could hear that song, I could probably play it. I don't know if I have it right here or not. What suicidal tendency songs do you like? Oh, that's right. I can't play through that while I'm playing through the stereo. I can't remember that song by heart though, so I would have to hear it. I do know some suicidal tendencies though, kind of, especially if I hear it and see the tablature, I can play it. Trying to find one of my other devices that can play media. What suicidal tendency songs do you know or like? I'm going to grab a different device so I can play some music. Took a little bit longer than I thought. I can't find it. I know one's in the car. So I was gonna make a video first about just titling it the liberal who runs the liberal media, because it's like a key word now, you know, like like everyone wants to hear you say the word liberal because then that means you know everything. Like if you blame liberals for everything, like if liberals are the important topic, then you know that's like the thing. It's like the hottest MK Ultra mind control word out there. So even though all the media is the same people, like you know, the liberal media is the same people. It's still them. So I was trying to bring that up. For some reason, my file system never searches very well. It acts up. I've altered my software so much. I never used to blame anyone for it, but when all the other electronics started messing up a lot more often, like I could still write it off as like, hey, I modified this electronic. Like, of course it doesn't work right. It's like, you know, I'm surprised my JTAG Xbox works because you actually can't see it. You can't see the file structure like you're supposed to. And therefore, it was corrupted in some manner, but it worked. So, whatever, which is like common uh, when you do a software transfer from anywhere, disk to disk. You're liable to lose a zero or a one here and there, little bits of information. Even when it's just stored on your drive, you generally do. And even in RAID backup, that's like another one of the tech things. Like, even tech people think they're smart, and they're really not to some extent. Because, like, people call RAID a backup system, but RAID's not really a backup system. It still, like, corrupts. And it still can crash. And in fact, from what I was reading, it was pretty much saying it was kind of like pointless to get, so I quit looking into worrying about that and just started thinking again cloud storage or storing locally. But the Blu-ray discs aren't still haven't dropped a lot in price, so it's pretty expensive to just back up things to Blu-ray, and then Blu-ray is going to be gone in a few years. But the RAID discs thing is another one of those tech things no one knows anything about. Like they're just being robbed by the tech companies. They're selling, they're telling you they're selling you this and that, and they're using words that sound like something, and you're like, okay, that's what I'm getting. Like the word backup sounds like you're saying getting backup. You're getting a good backup. You know, and when they say faster speeds, sounds like you might get faster speeds. Or if they just say new improved processor rather than faster speeds, it sounds like you're just getting that. But you're really not in most cases. They're just kind of ripping you off. Like a lot of things downgrade. Like this keyboard comes from a larger work keyboard, and everyone loves the keyboard this thing comes from. But this thing is, it's like small and cute, but it came from a real work keyboard, and it still actually has some of the buttons, but they really don't do anything. In the work keyboard, every button could do whatever you wanted. but that one's like really dumbed down. And they do that with a lot of stuff. And then I've noticed the only reason they seem to do that is because they come back with like a new, like, it's like new and improved, but it just had what they removed. Like, for instance, this device has an infrared remote, but this device doesn't. And this device is newer. And I've always thought that they're going to bring it back. But then again, at the same time, Samsung is behind smart TVs, so they might never bring it back for that. But any other corporation, if they remove something that was good, generally they bring it back and then they just sell it to you as like a new feature and stuff. Like they could easily do that with food. Like if they ever want to increase packages, you would be like so thankful. You'd be like, "Thank you, Massey. You gave me an extra potato chip in the bag." But in reality, they've shrunk all the packaging over the years with the help of the government. So the corporations are like highly involved in just ripping people off on all sorts of things. But none of these other candidates know anything about technology. They don't. I mean, I don't think I do compared to what they really have. I'm sure, but when it comes to the stuff that they allowed you to see, like I know it's generally going on there, and it's never like 100% legit. It's it's often built upon a scam. Windows itself and Android as well. Android backed off. They were claiming to be the open source people, and now they're like pretty closed. I mean, not open source, but the open platform, not open source. It's different, but open platform, and it would be good if they were open source. But that's one of the things like I run on. Like, anyways, the platform they change it, and then they start doing things like some places will track you, but I think Google's always been tracking you. It's designed by the Googlers, by the Russians, so they aren't everything they seem to be, and they're offshore, so they know they aren't everything they seem to be, and they need to protect themselves so they're not within jurisdiction. So they're doing clearly doing something, and they acquired robotic hardware, military hardware, but they sold it off. But that makes sense. Like you can just acquire corporations, copy all their data, and then sell off that corporation. And I'm sure it's probably easy to copy data when you're a company like Google. You're probably the best people in the business to quickly copy the information from one company and then sell the you know the original. If you got the blueprints to something, you don't need the original to do that. So they did that, I assume, in an effort to for public relations to look nicer to people, and they weren't being very nice. Other than that, like they even had a motto, "Don't be evil," and they took the motto away because they felt it was a little too much, uh, or a little too hard for them to swallow. And so they've been doing a lot of altering as well. That's why you got to take them over because they're not the media is not who they claim, right? It's not just like some people accidentally got rich and own and bought a media one day. They're like, I'm gonna buy some NBC today. Yeah, I don't think you do that. They're they're all linked, to the same elite bloodlines, and like almost everything. Like you say everything because it's pretty much everything, but almost everything is linked through them. A lot of times they have like a Shavit or a Judas Goat, whatever. Like people claim Alex Jones is one of them. But anyways, the tech companies, like Google and the media, all that stuff needs seized because they're attacking people with it and they're brainwashing everyone and they're dividing them up and they're making them kill each other. So it's like it's not like quite the natural thing what's going on Earth because they're like overseeing pretty much everything. It seems it can be found in most things, and even like they're even in the groups that are anti them, like obviously like Alex Jones, he's married into them, but you can argue that Alex Jones and Trump are the Purim puppets because they only have proof of the child being the bloodline, but their actions and other than that tell you otherwise. So they're all working together. The tech owners are the media owners when it is Google. So it's the same thing. Google is the new TV. So it is the new music. It is the new radio. It's all that stuff. It's the new shopping as well. Amazon takes that as delivery and purchase sites, but you still generally go through there for most stuff, probably. So they're in control of like the tech and the media. So when they sell you faulty tech or like bullshit tech, when they sell you faulty tech or bullshit tech, you probably couldn't even make it to the media to discuss this because they own the media. So they put their corporations first, generally. It's hard to link directly sometimes, but generally they make their way to it. Whether they're there or not, they are working to get there, usually it looks like. So you also have them harvesting all the data too. They're doing so much. I mean, you can't even really get to that. That's its own thing. But the technology, it like, I think everyone's being scanned pretty badly. You're paying like super high prices for tech that I think is like 20 to 40 years outdated because the people are living at like a comfort level that I don't think could have been achieved by what was going on. But they brag of that. I mean, you really don't have to, think of it. It's not a conspiracy theory. They brag of it. So it's like they know they're selling you faulty stuff. It's almost like they design it that way so eventually it will break. And then the older stuff was like working. And until I got a hold of it, right? Old stuff works. And that's because it's designed not to break and to work properly. But this new stuff, it just designed junk. I think they're updating them to brick them and stuff. I can't prove that because they're updating them so you can't monitor them because they're probably bricking it so they don't want you to monitor them. But they're also spying on you because you can watch the processes. If you can, it's their processes and they hide them under generic names so you don't know what actually is being ran at certain times. And Microsoft does that tactic too. For a for a company that users know what's going on, pretty much that means that they do something like that, that they're hiding something in that command, in that program that's running. Eric's not in here right now, is he? I was going to tell him about this. He was talking about coughing up blood and stuff. And I had to do a bunch of shit because I do that too. And switching to a vape's one of them. But if he's not here, I'm not going to explain it to it right now. Because it's a bunch of stuff I wanted to explain to him. That looks like trash, actually. So, I was going to report on the liberals, like I said, but it's just the same people as everyone else. It's not anything special. You have Cenk Uygur, and he's with his buddy Dave and the other Jew. And they basically split off from NBC, which is obviously owned by them. And then you have Noam Chomsky, which is one of them, and you have I'm trying to do this without looking at it. Yo, what's up? Okay, so you also have Mark Potuk, ADL. He's one of the main mouthpieces, and he's one of them. I don't know what you're talking about. And you have RT could easily be considered liberal media because you have their agenda. But the thing is RT did a complete 180 in like a week. I'm trying to get the time frame right. It seems like it's like almost instantly people can switch over, but it was definitely within a week. RT used to be a liberal media outlet. You guys know RT? Any of you? Like, or gals? What's going on with RT? What do you think RT is right now? It's like right wing propaganda, right? But yeah, it's like alt right wing propaganda, but it was liberal propaganda before 4 years ago. So when I made this over here, RT was still part of liberal propaganda. And they still kind of play, but they used to kind of play both sides. But I know the main theme of it totally just flipped to alt right. And what I mean, everyone just did the flip. David Icke did it about the same time too. It was the one in Paris. I think there was a shooting, the Bataclan theater attacks, and after that attack, like it looked like within a week, David Icke and RT and a couple other like Press for Truth instantly switched over to being right wing Nazi propaganda. Am I the only one who's seen that? That they all switched over right away? It was, and it's like, it's easy to see because it's like liberal one day and right wing Nazis the next. And at first I was like, okay, so they sent some trolls here, right? You know, the troll army came. So
It didn't go away. Like it's still there to this day. It's like, is the government? Did the government just start paying people to go to the page to spread that propaganda, and they're paying like hundreds of people to go there to spread propaganda now? But it's definitely not. In the comments, it doesn't look like left wing media anymore. You also have Mark Zuckerberg, who is largely considered a liberal, but then recently he's also been figured to have been working to promote Trump. Is that what they're saying? They're saying something new every day about him. But it really doesn't matter because they're never going to like focus on what matters is his blood relation to everyone else. That's the most probable link he has with everyone else who controls the media. And at the end of the day, that kind of makes them all Zionists, even when they claim to be anti-Zionist. But look at RT and David Icke now. Like even David Icke is still not. And it's possible RT is not 100%. I think I actually heard some stuff on RT was still left wing, but they still do that. But the commenters are like completely different. And that's where you go to like see what's going on in the video, right? And it's weird, I see that with the GDL too. And I guess that would be considered more left wing as well. As they posed as people who aren't racist against Jews, pretty much as their main theme. So it was just like another extension, and that's kind of that's how it works. It's how the web of the media works. Is it extends out over everyone, and like right here, I'm looking at a picture, and it so I've leveled it, kind of, but you can see the three TYT creators, Sync and the two other dudes. Um, this is like obviously before I one of my first creations probably because I didn't fully detail it, so their names aren't there. But one's like Dave Kohler, and others whoever. So, anyways, they spread down into a network of people eventually. Like they come from NBC, which is already a network of people, so they're one of the tendrils over there. And then of like this huge network, and then they're coming out and they're taking over the internet in the same type of network. And someone else said, and I said no, but they were right, that Cenk Uygur is the Alex Jones of the left wing, and he is, and but I don't think he fully understands what he was saying and what he was saying means, because what it means is that Sync is like kind of like the center. He's like the first tendril that came from NBC to the internet, and then it spread out from there. There's a whole bunch of people under TYT, and while Dave and another dude work in the background, Sync takes the front. But Dave and the other dude, I believe, probably do their own media as well. But they make Sync take the front, so he is like the Alex Jones, and Alex Jones does the same thing. He has on all these guests and stuff, and then you follow all his guests, and then you follow where his guests go, and you're in that branching out web they throw at you. It's like a web, spider web to trap you, pretty much. And it's weird how it like it works like that. Like even them just using like logic and words and actual actions that do stuff like their um, their flow of energy is actually mirrors like what a spider does to trap people
So the human, this is seen over and over. Things that happen, they have a certain type of energy to them, and they generally have a certain type of flow. And you can demonstrate, you can see this in nature. And the Shaolin monks, they observe that in nature, and that's where they learn how to strike like an animal. And that was like, there's like really important clues there for fighting that aren't in boxing, because animals are killers. Like humans pick up guns these days, but animals, like, they're killing all the time. They just, they know what they're doing. They know how to move. They know how to move their body parts. So you can learn from them. I mean, you can learn from like anything, but it's interesting to note that how the energy comes out of them, how the design to trap people is actually shown to us in nature in a spider web, because it looks like a spider web what they're doing, and it kind of works in the same way. So you could probably solve other mysteries in the world by, you know looking towards nature. I think they've done most of that, especially if there are technologies in the future, especially if there's alien technology. They probably, I don't know, dude. Maybe they know most of it, and they need someone like me to tell them how to unlock it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, God's been trashing America for like 40 days with weather, right? It's been crazy. Although I predicted that 4 to 8 years ago, because it's every 8 years. It's really, really bad. But it's been like really crazy, dude. And this is what he does. Apparently, that's what they write in the history, like the Bible is like kind of the only thing you have as far as history in the past, because it kind of ushered writing to the plebes. The Christian church kind of fostered that. So that's where that came from in that book. That's why people believe in that book, because it was really like one of the first books that got out there for the people. People didn't know how to read and write back then. And so there wasn't many books because people couldn't read and write. And no need to write a book because no one could read. So that era is probably thought to be a little bit accurate. And if we, no matter how we look at history, you have the empires and how they all get trashed, and it's like their own energy comes back to them. And I believe that's probably just what's happening to America in many ways. Is what they've done is coming back to them. So it's hard to fight it. It's probably easy to fight it if you know what you've done and you care. But it's hard to fight it, I think, when people don't really care. And I think it might be dangerous to care too in this nation. Maybe I'm just stupid and I don't care about dying, and maybe other people are really scared in this nation. I'm not sure what it's like to be them, but they act fucking terrified of fucking spiders and shit. And so I don't know what to think of that. But I think he's like fucking destroying America with weather. Like, why wouldn't he if he's done this to these other places who got out of hand? Because, um, you know, Sodom, Gomorrah, supposedly they got like real violent and aggressive and wanted to murder people and rape people. And apparently they had done that a lot, but they did it to the wrong people, and then their town burnt to the ground. And those were like considered like God's children or something, like angels. So they actually say that kind of happened, but when we look at like the empires, they just collapse because what they do. It's it really, you don't need some invisible man in the sky to collapse the empire. It collapses itself by how it acts. It eats everything, so it eats itself eventually. It like can't stop doing that. And if it could save itself and like decide to not go further. But it happens, and I wonder if the fact that they say that these empires generally get hit with like natural things or bad places. It could be that the people themselves gather negative energy to the area, and that just alters the stuff going on around the people. You never know how how it actually works. You know, all the energy like between you and a cloud, like what is there really? Just empty air, or is there something else? You know, or nothing at all. And some people think that the energy is like everywhere. Like I think Tesla was obviously one of those people. But the people could be bringing negative energy on themselves. But it could be just like bringing negative energy on themselves. I mean, they are like they make really dumb moves that will collapse it. Um, and think of it this way: even if you don't believe like some invisible man in the sky exists, the the amount of toxins and stuff they build up has been known to change and alter the weather. Um, that's where like acid rain generally comes from in the cities. There's I believe it's called acid rain. Maybe it has some other name, but there's been like uh, cases where they would have bad rain because all the toxins put in the air and stuff, and that could all sorts of things could affect stuff. You know, people claim the waves affect stuff. The 5G, people are like complaining about 5G. I don't know nothing about anything like that, right? But that's like, that's something, some sort of energy going on you don't see. I need some more water. So, but it feels like there actually is some sort of creator because the world's definitely like designed somehow. It works. It's like a working system where things intelligently and probably unknowingly all work together to make everything self-sustainable. Like you don't need, everything you go to work to make to live. And I think they take a lot of stuff away from you that might teach you that or might make you like
care less about being a slave. But there's no proof to some stuff like that, really. But I bet you start locking these people up, you find out what's going on. You'll find out something. I'm pretty sure that politicians and stuff know more. I mean, some of them seem really stupid. I'm not sure if they know their own names, but the ones who are like smart enough to, see what's going on, they've obviously would have had to have been blackmailed or whatever. Because it's a pretty criminal system, so they're probably bribing most people and, I mean, paying most people to be candidates. I mean, who do they have to pay when all the candidates are the same bloodline in their families? It's like, what are they gonna fight against themselves? That was like a really weird election because you had like the Nazis openly on one side and they brought in a candidate that was so deeply linked to their main core of hatred that it would have surely not been their candidate, but it was. So it was very staged looking, and from what I see, he's one of them. Yeah, well, they're bad actors. It's like all the all the stories in the world they come from like the same six story. It gets kind of old sometimes. Like 6 to 16 stories like every movie and thing, game, whatever. The games are sometimes every now and then a new one comes out, but there wasn't really any new type of movies for a while because everything's just the same thing over and over. And when you read books, it's like a lot of the books are kind of similar things. I mean, when you learn writing, there's even like a really basic sentence structure there. I found out recently when I do writing, like lyrics, like I purposely like just like destroy sentence structure, and it ends up looking pretty cool when I do that. Is there any way I'm supposed to be able to see who's in here ever? Alright, so I'm getting slow because I should probably sleep. I've been skipping a lot of sleep recently. So I'm gonna go to sleep. Thanks for coming.